Welcome back, guys, for another episode of the Cash It Pod. Things have been running red hot pretty much all of February, and especially this last week. Things have been going very well. Had a big weekend. Hit a couple of love bets. Have another love bet with a massive edge going today in this Cavs-Celtics game. We'll get into all of that. John, how you doing? Things been running hot. Got to be feeling good.
All good except the voice. Sorry about the voice again, guys. Just struggling. So we'll let Ben do most of the talking today.
Yeah, John's been yelling celebration yells this go around. But let's just start off talking about if you guys follow us on Instagram, TikTok, all that, which I imagine if you're watching this, you are. You guys have seen a lot of the videos we've been putting out there, just what we've been doing with DraftKings. So if you guys haven't caught on yet, you guys can go look at lines when they open up tomorrow. Go check around noon Eastern. DraftKings is coming out with these lines hours ahead of everybody else and about 36 hours before tip-off. So with that, the lines aren't completely accurate, and they're definitely off in a couple of spots, leading us.
No, I'm going to go better. They're weak. They're soft numbers. Look, not all of them. Tomorrow's numbers actually look decent, but there's spots. There's certainly spots. And when the last 4 days, we've crushed 5 or 6 of them, the best being the game we're going to talk about tonight, the Celtics-Cavs.
Yep, crush lines all last week. That OKC game, 4-point swing, 3 +3 to -1. Then you had the Toronto game. That was one of the love bets. That went from +1.5 to -2.5. Even the other love bet, the Hawks got -6.5, went up to 8.5. So all these bets getting 2, 3, 4-point edges. And like John said, the one tonight, Cleveland Cavaliers sent that out last night. Knicks Celtics goes into overtime. As soon as it goes to overtime, get that bet out there. Tatum and Brown both play almost 50 minutes, double overtime game. You already have a revenge factor from the Cavs earlier this last week. You have the Cavs who have played them tough this year. They've won 2 of 3 meetings. They're 3-0 against the spread in all 3 meetings, and just playing the Celtics tough. That line, we took 2.5 all the way up now to 8, 8.5. It's a 6-point swing. John, I don't know if you want to add too much more onto that. It's a massive edge there, a 6-point edge. I mean, you're going to be playing almost -300 if you were to buy that all the way down to 2.5.
Yeah. It's even more to it is you have Robert Williams is going to be out. He missed the game last night. He's going to be out at least the next week. Al Horford hasn't played a back-to-back the entire year. So we know he's going to sit. So in a back-to-back 3rd and 4th double overtime, without your 2 bigs, you got to go against Cleveland, who's got 2 good bigs with Allen and Mobley. This game is 5, whether Tatum's playing or not, if they weren't going to rest anybody else. So laying 2.5 is a no-brainer. Now we get the extra little dessert, call it, with Tatum out. That game has backed up a little bit. There's some question as for the last couple of days about the status of Mitchell. He hurt a finger in the last game against Detroit. Never came back. But they were ahead of Gazillion in that game and didn't need it. He was at shoot-around today. We expect him to play all along. But that game is down to 7 now. We didn't get confirmation one way or the other. We expect Mitchell to play. Tough spot for Celtics. Again, as Ben also said, just coming off, they just played a few days ago in Boston. Boston had them pretty much buried. With 1:18 left, they held a 13-point lead. They left the back door open, though, at a 5-point spread. Cavs got it down to 4, so they got the back door. Expect the Cavs to put it on the Celtics tonight for playing in a tough situation without 3 of 5 starters, Tatum, Williams, Horford.
Yeah, with that, if you're the Cavs here in this situation, you see them sitting 3 of 5 starters. With Mitchell having the injury issue, would you kind of go to the side of maybe sitting him in this spot, maybe giving him the rest, playing the Cavs a little bit shorthanded without him? Or is this more a situation you see a chance to get a win against top team in the East and you want to take advantage of that?
This time of year, I'm not taking a chance with any of my stars in any game under any circumstances. Too close to the playoffs. So if there's any question, he's been dealing with the groin back and forth, and this last injury is actually a finger. If there's any problem, I'm not sitting him. Like I said, doesn't matter if Celtics are at full strength or they're not. I want to have all these guys 100% healthy for the playoffs. And you can see that's what's going on now with these guys sitting without injuries. Another game we'll talk about tonight, we made a little bit of a mess of. The Indiana Pacers. This was going to be a great spot for the Pacers. Philadelphia coming off an 18-point comeback win over the Milwaukee Bucks on the road. And now they did 4th and 6th, and they play tomorrow. But Pacers threw up Halliburton and Turner questionable. Halliburton hit the 3 at the buzzer to beat the Bulls yesterday, so he wasn't hurt. But it's this whole rest management thing. Now it turns out Halliburton will play. You guys are seeing this post, this podcast Tuesday morning. We're shooting it Monday night. We're actually waiting for the Turner info. If not, we'll jump back on it. What I did today, just to explain that game, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. We initially took the Pacers plus 6.5 this morning. When the info broke that Halliburton was already questionable, Naismith questionable. When the info broke that Turner was also going to be questionable, at that time, the line was Philadelphia 7. I told my guys, buy 76ers down to 6.5. You know me, I never buy points. But in this spot, we don't want to take 6.5 and lay 7. Game could fall 7, lose both ends. I'd rather go for the juice. And if we find out Turner's playing, we'll come back with the Pacers. I know it's a nightmare, but for the games that we beat, lines 2, 3, 4, or 5 points, like tonight's Celtic game, there's going to be games like this Pacer game. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and even sometimes when those lines do go against us based off injury breaks, I mean, the spot's good enough. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Last week we saw that a couple of times. I mean, Embiid in the Heat. Embiid sits for the Sixers, goes on the road at Miami. Philly blows them out in that game of double. Yeah, so sometimes the spot is so good that although you'd rather have those star players in there, we're on the right side no matter what there.
Twice last week, as Ben said, Philly going to Miami. We jumped all over that game. No Embiid, no problem. Pelicans go to Portland. Valanciunas was out. A couple other of the role players out. Go to Portland, crush them, no problem. So this is what we're talking about betting with an edge, guys. Recently, we've had quite a few love bets. But those love bets have got 3 and 4 point edges. That's what makes it different. I don't have a love bet every game. I have a love bet when I know that there's a wrong line. If the Raptors for Saturday were getting 1.5 points as a dog, and we made the video guaranteeing you they would be the favorite by tip-off, that's what makes it a love bet. The Cavaliers, knowing Celtics would be back-to-back, 3rd and 4th, double overtime, at least 2 of their starters are going to sit. Now it's 3. That's what makes it a love bet. We just don't come up with love bets. There's this fake capper out there. What the heck is his name? Big mouth, just running off the mouth. What's the guy from Vegas, Ben? Tried having a nice conversation with him. And
I think you were talking about, but I'm not sure which guy.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, he not too long ago had 50-unit bets. He was having a little bad streak.
King Cat.
50 unit bets. So he wanted to bet half your bankroll on 2 games, half on each game. That's a fraud. Anybody that pulls shit like that out there is a fraud. Okay? We bet 3% of your bankroll on our light bets, 5% on a love bet. Anybody that calls himself a capper that tells you he bets 50% of your bankroll on a bet, that you've got to be a fool. You've got to be a fool to pay them money. Okay? They're just a fraud. So they're laughing to the bank on your money. There's nobody does what I do in the NBA. Anywhere. I'm not talking about just on Instagram. Anywhere. We don't stop working. Sunday night, while other guys might be out partying, we're here. We're working on Monday. We see the Celtic game go to overtime. Bang. We smack DraftKings. I told in the video, DraftKings, just pay me. I'll make the lines for you.
Yeah, they could use the help. Obviously, been crushing those lines, and hopefully they don't fix anything anytime soon, so that way we can continue to capitalize on those opportunities. John, as far as with NBA this weekend, I mean, just crazy weekend, obviously, but one game in particular, Just excited to see Kevin Durant and the Suns. That Mavs game came down to the wire. Luka misses a tough, easy gimme layup at the end. But how about that Suns team? I mean, they are just deep. They were going bucket for bucket with Dallas. Kyrie showed up. Luka actually didn't play the best of the game. Booker had a big game. That Suns offense, though, with Chris Paul just facilitating, letting the role players get their threes. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker obviously opening things up. Phoenix is going to be a problem, especially as they get more and more chemistry developed between them.
A big problem. And Ayton controlling the boards, doing his job. KD plays 40 minutes. He's up to speed. Took him 3 games. Boom. Him and Booker looking like the deadliest 1-2 combo in the NBA right now. I already have the Suns rated as the best team in the NBA. Milwaukee was up there. For you guys that had to beat the bookie members, we had the Bucks. Looks like maybe getting some bad news here. Seeing the Cavs tick down to 6.5. That might be telling me Mitchell will be out. We'll see on that in a minute. But as I said, we had the Bucks against the 76ers. 16 straight wins, an 18-point lead. Can't lose that game on their home court. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, right now, Phoenix, 3 games in, and they look like the team to beat. Last year, best record in the NBA. Year before, they go to the finals, lose to Milwaukee. Looks like this team is ready to challenge.
Absolutely. They're rolling right now in the West. We'll see if Golden State can get healthy. I mean, we mentioned it last podcast. I mentioned it. I just don't trust Denver come postseason time. And then Memphis, the other threat, or it looked like would-be threat. They're having just all kinds of off-court issues now with John Morant. And
bye-bye, Memphis.
Yeah, exactly. Granted, I will say, as far as regular season betting on them, they've been competitive without John Morant. Last season, they were competitive against the Clippers, blew the lead late, could have won that game, but they still covered the line. I think there will be some value on this Grizzlies team while they're having these John Morant issues, as long as that line continues to be overinflated for him being out. I mean, they're competitive without him, but definitely not as competitive as far as coming out of the West. Any thoughts on that situation? I mean, shit, John Morant just fumbling the bag, messing up opportunity after opportunity, story after story, with him being involved in just shit he should not be involved with. And we'll see if he figures it out. I'm interested to see what the NBA does punishment-wise, if they are going to come down with any kind of suspension or any issues with that.
Well, look, a few things on that. We bet Denver against Memphis that night.
Yep.
Denver great at home. Memphis can't win on the road, and that's with John Morant. This team has been a mess. 6, they went out to the Lakers, where, ironically, they're at tomorrow, and had that whole on-the-court thing with Sharp on the sideline with John Morant's father. Kid want to be a gangbanger. Has the potential to be one of the top players in the NBA. Give it a break, kid. Don't know what you're trying to prove here. NBA's not going to stand for it. He's coming out with contrition, the whole stuff. But I think they've already made a mess of the team. They just lost Clark, also a great backup. Still don't have Steven Adams back. I think this team's going to be a mess for a little bit. Like I said, already can't win on the road. They'll have a tough time to get the Lakers again tomorrow, who put on a show. Again, if you had to beat the bookie member, we had them yesterday. Anthony Davis put the Lakers on his back and got that home win, a badly needed home win against the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, Anthony Davis looks solid, and he's looking back to form like he did at the start of the season. And we all know when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's competitive. Last year, even when he was healthy, he wasn't as big of a threat, but this situation with LeBron going out could be ideal here for LA. I think you mentioned that last time we spoke on here, just about as far as Anthony Davis stepping up, taking that initiative, the rest of the guys gelling in. LeBron's the best basketball IQ in the league. He can figure it out how to play with just about anybody. So I think Anthony Davis getting that fit. They got a much needed win there against Golden State. What are they now? 5-2 their last 7. And I believe they are tied with the Utah Jazz for that 11-10 seed. So slowly starting to work up. We'll see if they can become a threat, continue playing well there. And as far as the rest of the games from this weekend, nothing too crazy there. Golden State, though, Steph Curry first game back. Looked decent, 8 of 20 shooting. I think it was 5 of 13 from 3. Golden State, they need to get Wiggins back. He's big for them two-way. Need that wing defense, especially in the West. A lot of perimeter threats. What are your thoughts here on this Warriors team and just Curry coming back?
Look, reigning champs. That core's been together. They're solid. They will be. Give Curry another game to get himself right. They're going to be a pesky out. But again, same problem as Memphis. They can't win on the road. You've got to win on the road. Unless you're a number one seed, you've got to win on the road at some point. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I mean, I trust them more than any other team to figure that out come postseason time as far as getting some road wins. Just the experience and that atmosphere is unmatched. It's just a last decade of having that experience. So that'll definitely pan out more so in their favor. John, we got a pretty big card tomorrow, or decent-sized card, 8 games. So we can start to dive into that a little bit. And then as well as maybe go into the back end just as far as some more strategy-wise NBA, as far as beating these lines, things we are looking at ahead of time as to why we are getting ahead of some of these numbers. So first game on the card, we do have some injuries here we have to be a little bit concerned about. Middleton and Holiday both questionable for the Bucks. We have Wendell Carter and Gary Harris questionable there for Orlando. This Milwaukee team, they snapped the 16-game losing streak like we mentioned a bit ago with the come-from-behind win there from Philly. But they bounce back. They get a win against the Wizards. They covered the spread there. Now 17-1, 12-6 against the spread their last 18 games. Right up there is the hottest team in basketball right now with the Knicks. And then you have this Magic team dropped a game against Portland. This Bucks team owns the matchup. 13 straight meetings. The last 10 at Orlando, 8-1-1 against the spread. I honestly wouldn't mind if Holiday and Middleton both out on this game. We can get the Bucks at a cheaper price here on the road in this contest.
Yeah, this is one of those we talk about owning one team, owning another team. We've got a few of them for tomorrow. This one of them, 10 in a row at Orlando, 8-1-1 against the spread. Don't get much more of an ownership than that in the last 13 straight. So look, guys, it's all about the injuries. Once we make the line, it's all about the injuries. Who's going to play? This was the reason we jumped on Cavs last night, knowing you already were missing, like I said, Williams and Horford don't play back-to-back, right. Anticipating at least Tatum or Brown, one of them to sit after being in playing close to 50 minutes in a double overtime. Here, we need to wait to see who's going to play, and just to throw it back out there. Now Cavs going all the way back up, still waiting for that info. So Milwaukee and nobody, no interest in bucking, pardon the pun, that trend. So Milwaukee, nobody. We'll wait to see what the injuries and the line is tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to see the injuries in that game. This next one, we do have an injury with the Wizards at the Pistons. We have Kyle Kuzma, who's going to be questionable. The third game in 4 nights for them. They're 2-4 since the All-Star break. They're playing this Detroit team who's going to be on a back-to-back. So we've got to wait to see what we get with the Pistons tonight. Matchup history, though, favors the Wizards. Won the last 6 meetings. Got to know what's going on with Kuzma, but Pistons on a back-to-back would be a little bit of a slight lean here to Washington. Don't love them third game in 4 nights. Don't love backing them on the road here. A little bit tired.
Wizards are nobody. We're going to get to that time of year where the teams that are trying to win, trying to make that play-in playoff spot against these also-rans, the Pistons, Hornets, Spurs, Rockets, especially Pistons tonight, will only have one original starter in their lineup with Ivy, Hayes, Duran, Stewart, Bogdanovich, all out tonight. Now, maybe they sit tonight and they come back for the second game of the back-to-back. We'll wait to see. But Wizards are nobody. They own the matchup. Wizards are nobody in that one. Again, waiting on what a real line looks like and the injuries.
And 76ers, Minnesota, next game, John. I know we already talked about it a bit ago with 76ers playing tonight. Obviously, we were looking at going to Indiana, still are. Miles Turner might be in there. In the event that the Sixers don't sit anybody tonight, and they're going to be most likely sitting somebody tomorrow in that 5th and final game of the 7-day trip. You have the T-Wolves, who are coming from a pretty good road trip. They went 3-1. They're coming off a nice win at Sacramento, put 138 up in that game. Decent at home, 20-14 straight up, 17-17 against the spread. Now, weird matchup history. So Minnesota beat the Sixers earlier this year at Philly. They've won 2 of the last 3 meetings. but the 76ers won 9 of the prior 10 prior to the win this year. So 76ers used to own that matchup. Minnesota have been bucking it a little bit lately. Do you have any thoughts of maybe a little bit of a home revenge there for Philly? And obviously that's going to have to deal with who plays tonight, who sits tomorrow.
Absolutely does. Just like you said, if Philly comes out on top tonight, is it a mail-in game tomorrow? It's also the last game of their trip. Do they play Embiid in back-to-backs? Again, this is the time of the year you want those stars. You don't want to bury them. You want to keep them fresh. Minnesota, right now, playing their best basketball of the year. Before this last game at Sacramento, which was a shootout, they had 3 straight games where they allowed just 109, 101, and 102 to the Warriors, Clippers, and Lakers all on the road. So the all-time player of the year, Gobert, defensive player of the year, Gobert, starting to find his footing. Minnesota playing the way they're supposed to play, and they're playing their best basketball right now. Depends on what happens with Philly. A tough win tonight in Indiana. They sit some guys tomorrow. This would only be Minnesota or nobody. Like you said, 76ers used to own the series, but Minnesota now has won the last two games at Philly. So we'll see how this one meshes out after Philly's game tonight.
Yeah, also just interested for Karl-Anthony Towns if he's going to be back at the end of the season. I mean, what's going on there? And apparently he's looking at maybe going different doctors or specialists, trying to figure everything going out. So Karl-Anthony Towns, I mean, I've been under the impression that they should have traded him for a while now, especially after they got Rudy Gobert. It's just the 2-center thing. Don't think it's going to work. I agree with you that they're starting.
We said it from the beginning before the year even started. Me and Ben both said this experiment, just don't see it working. It's working now because the other center's not there, Karl-Anthony Towns. It took Gobert some time. It looks like they're playing their best basketball right now.
Yeah, I would chop him to get a better long-term point guard option. Now that they got rid of D'Lo, they have Conley on kind of a little bit of a rental. So I would go shop a better point guard option to put a pair along with Edwards and Gobert. We'll see what happens there. We'll see if he gets healthy. Hornets and Knicks. So this Knicks team, red, dead hot, now 9 straight, 8-0-1 against the spread. Pull off the double overtime win at Boston. You have this Hornets team who is just struggling now without LaMelo Ball. They've dropped 3 in a row, scoring just 94.3 points per game. Knicks have won both meetings this year, but they're just 3-3, 2-4 against the spread the last 6. Never want to get in front of a red hot, wrecking ball right now, which is what the Knicks are. They're just absolutely on fire. But my lead to this game is actually a little bit to Charlotte. It's a pretty decent sized number. They're not playing well right now, so I'm not looking to go with the cold team. I just think it's a bit too big of a number. I would want to lay for the Knicks coming off a big double overtime win at Boston. So got to see what's going on with Jalen Brunson. He's listed questionable here. Slightest of leans to Charlotte, slightest of leans to the under in this matchup. Hornets just can't score right now with the way things are going. If Knicks hit Brunson, maybe a little bit of fatigue legs there going in after the trip to Boston. So maybe an under could be a play in this game as well.
Yeah, double overtime for the Knicks. Huge win for them. 9 straight, red hot. This could be a letdown spot. But even so, Charlotte is that bad. Unfortunately, we bet the Nets. We bet against the Nets yesterday, bet on Charlotte, because I thought the Nets were in for a letdown after their 28-point come from behind win against the Celtics in their prior game. Yep. But Charlotte is that bad right now. They can't break 100. They didn't even break 90 last time, but they can't break 100 without Ball. Want no part of Charlotte, even though tough spot for the Knicks coming off double overtime and questionable about Brunson. Again, as I said earlier, Hornets, Pistons, Spurs, Rockets, really going to take a big overlay to get me on one of those teams against playoff-bound teams right now.
Yeah, and the Knicks coming out of this game, they will be headed on a little West Coast trip. They go to Sacramento, and then the LA teams wrap it up with Portland. So a little bit of a West Coast journey there. We'll see how long they continue the win streak. Warriors at Thunder. Warriors coming in, they had their 5-game win streak snapped against the Lakers. You have Steph Curry returns. He was decent, scoring 27 on 8 of 20. Wiggins hasn't played in a while. He could be returning now. And then you have this OKC team. So they've been struggling. Then they paired again a couple of wins against Utah. Only issue is Golden State owns this matchup. They've won the last 8 meetings, 6-1-1 against the spread, dominated at OKC. Line opened up 3.5, started going up to 4, 4.5, and no game that of these 8 games that Golden State has won in a row against the Thunder, none of them have been decided by 5 or less. So would be a lean to Golden State with the matchup history. If Wiggins comes back, I honestly don't love that. Him and Curry just getting back in rhythm together, not ideal. So would lean Golden State, bit bigger number I would like to lay, especially if Wiggins first game back.
Yeah, it's a tough one to make because Golden State absolutely owns the series. They've won 8 straight, 6-1-1 against the spread, like you said. The last 4 at OKC by a combined 66 points. Yeah. I'm not bucking that trend. But this number's too high. Golden State cannot be this big a favorite on the road. They don't win on the road. They don't win on the road. For you guys that had to beat the bookie members, Golden State, they got a game. There's a little disparity in their road record. It's because of one win that they had against San Antonio. They played a game at the Alamo Dome. As far as I'm concerned, it's a road game. It was a home game for San Antonio. So if you see some differences in our records as opposed to the official records on ESPN, go with our records. That was a road game. San Antonio had how many did they pack the Alamo Dome that night? I'm sure there was some Warrior fans there, but you could be sure that was a home crowd for San Antonio. As a matter of fact, we bet that game. Unfortunately, that one went down for us. But Golden State can't win on the road as much as they own this series with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back. That was another tough beat last night. Right just before game time, we pulled the plug. We pulled the trigger on Jazz. I got a message that that Thunder would be monitoring Shai's minutes for the rest of the year. Well, he came back and he played 37 minutes and went off for 38 points in his first game back. Did not expect that. That's what we got. I do expect, again, this is why we're always thinking ahead. OKC plays tomorrow, meaning Tuesday, against the Golden State. The following day, they go to Phoenix. I don't expect Shai to play both those games. Here, we'll be looking, as soon as we know if Shai's going to play tomorrow, we'll be looking to take advantage for the next game against OKC. This is when we're talking about we're always looking ahead.
Yeah, this Warriors team, you mentioned the road struggles. So just 7 road wins, 7-24 there on the road. However, one of those was at OKC earlier this year. Like you said, the ownership trends did stick in that situation. And then this is 2 of the top scoring teams in the NBA. You have OKC second, Golden State third, both scoring just about 118 points per game. The last time they met at OKC earlier this year, we saw 248 points. Could be an opportunity there with another over in this. OKC has been playing some very high scoring games. Now you have SGA back, so we'll see what's going on with him. Nets, Rockets. I mean, this Nets team tough to back, especially at this big of a number. Now, Houston is just dreadful. They're coming off a pair of wins against San Antonio. Prior to that 11-game losing streak. And then you have the Nets who are coming off that win there against Charlotte. They've won their last 2 after a little 4-game cold stretch. As far as the last couple of meetings here, you have they split 2 meetings last season. You have the Rockets 4-1 against the spread the last 5 meetings. I don't want to get involved in this game. It would be a slight lean to Houston, but like we mentioned the last couple of weeks, just not backing the Rockets. Just too bad. Coming off a pair of wins against San Antonio. I actually leaned to the Spurs in both games in those matchups. They just didn't get it done in either. So I don't know if the Rockets are going to be able to have any confidence or build off of those 2 wins there against the Spurs. Maybe this is a chance for the Nets to beat up on Houston. But either way, too big of a number for me to lay the Nets, and I don't want any part of the Rockets.
Well, just to get back to that Rockets-Spurs home-and-home series, Spurs sat everybody. Either they sat in the first game or the second game of the back-to-back. So put that together with the Rockets getting back Green and Porter Jr., and they did some scoring, then that gives you your answer with Houston. So Houston's a little better now with Green and Porter in the lineup. They're not an actual G League team anymore, but they're not much better. So they beat the Spurs, who, like I said, are the worst defensive team in the league and sat half their starters in each of the games. Don't want no part of them. Yeah, it's a little bit of a high number. Suns want to make the playoffs. Right now, it looks like they're going to make the playoffs. And this kid Bridges is playing out of his mind since coming over from Phoenix. He's emerging as that star, that go-to guy that every team needs. So playing some good basketball. Big number, 7 on the road, but no interest in Houston.
Yeah, Bridges kind of had a nice little transition to the trade because Booker was out there for so long. He was kind of getting that more of a star option there for Phoenix for a good bit. And now he goes to Brooklyn where that is more so his true identity. So that transition was a bit better for him. We'll see how he continues to develop. We'll see if Brooklyn starts to piece anything together. And yeah, like you said, they are set to make the postseason. Don't think they'll be very competitive once they get there, but set to make it. Jazz and Mavericks, Dallas keeps letting me down. I lean to them there in that spot against Phoenix. They had a nice lead late. They were up double digits in the fourth, blew that game. Phoenix just rallied late, and then Luka missed that layup. But they're coming off that tough loss against Phoenix. They're 2-6 their last 8. They're the second worst against the spread record in the NBA behind Miami. And then you have this Utah team who's just been dreadful. They lose a pair of games there at OKC. Markkanen did not play that last game. He's questionable. We'll see if he comes back.
Markkanen's going to play.
Markkanen going to play. There we go. So that's a little change in info. Mavs have had a lot of success in the matchup. They won 2 or 3 meetings this year. They beat them in the playoffs last year. They've won 8 of the last 11 meetings. So this should be a little bit of a tune-up game, I would imagine, for Dallas. Maybe a little bit of a get-right spot. Would have a slight lean to the Mavs. Just can't back them right now. 2-6 their last 8. And like I said, second worst at home against the spread. Can't get involved here backing Dallas.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out yet. Kyrie and Luka just not good so far. What have they done since they've come on? They've got 2 wins together. One of them was against San Antonio, and the other was the other night against Philly. Philly was coming in on a tough back-to-back on that night. So not sold at all on this Dallas team. Utah, 2 terrible losses to OKC. We came back with them the second night. Thought after getting embarrassed the first night, Clarkson came back, actually had a really good game. Not great shooting the ball, but wound up with like 13 or 14 assists. They'll get Markkanen back tomorrow. We'll see what the real number is. There's only one fake number out there. It's 5.5. We'll see what at 5.5. That's too low. You got to want to like Dallas at 5.5, but that won't be the number tomorrow. I expect that to be more like 7.
Last game, John, is Grizzlies at Lakers. We mentioned it already with the Ja Morant drama. He won't be in, obviously. They have been playing decent, 3-2, 4-1 against the spread their last 5. They are down, we've mentioned the road chart, which is 12-20 straight up, 11-20-1 against the spread so far on the road. This Lakers team, they're 5-2 their last 7. D'Angelo Russell, he's been missing games. He's questionable here for the Lakers. I would have a slight lean here to the Lakers in this spot. Memphis has won 4 of the last 5 meetings. Lakers did beat them in a tight one in LA earlier this year. Lakers need wins, and they got to capitalize here without Ja Morant. So this would be a spot with a low line here for LA. I would lean to the Lakers getting it done in this one.
Lakers are nobody. Right now, I think Memphis is a disaster. This Ja Morant is going to blow up in their face. Like I said, you're missing some guys like Clark. He was a good guy, a big coming off the bench, sorely needed with Steven Adams still out. Lakers, one of the reasons we bet them yesterday against Golden State, every game's a big game to them. As you said earlier, tied with the Jazz for that last play-in spot. They're going to need to get some W's. So to the teams that game is more important for, like the Lakers, they'll look to get this one. Lakers were just at Memphis last week or so. Had a little bit of a lead, I believe, at halftime. Memphis gave it to them in the second half. Grizzlies have been out on the West Coast now. This will be their 4th game in 7 nights. Their last game at the Clippers last night. So they get that 2-day layover in LA. They can implode or they can get themselves down to business. We'll see what they're made of. But for me, Lakers are nobody in this spot.
Yeah, agreed. Lakers are nobody. As far as those Western standings, I mean, really tight. You have Lakers there who 31-34. They are 1 game back, or they're tied there with Utah for that 10th spot. OKC just half game behind LA. But Lakers, as far as moving all the way up, I mean, if they were to try to catch Golden State, who they just played, they're just 3 games back of the Warriors. So that would put them all the way up to the 5th seed and maybe start to get them close to as far as that top 4 for a home court advantage. Obviously, that 6th spot is that main thing. But that Western Conference could shake up a lot here in the coming weeks down the stretch of the season. We'll see who gets competitive. I mean, Dallas continues to drop. Clippers getting healthy. We see if they can figure it out a little bit. Pelicans has been dropping all year since the Zion injury. A lot going to be shaken up there in the West. John, if you had to kind of predict if any of those teams kind of jump up into that top 6 or fall down into the play-in, do you have any teams you see going either direction?
Well, let me start with the Lakers. Lakers aren't getting any higher than the 9th spot. Still got LeBron's going to miss at least another couple of weeks. Don't see them getting any further past that. Minnesota, as I said, playing their best basketball right now. Big test for them tomorrow. The 2 teams directly behind them, Dallas and the Clippers, are better teams than Minnesota, but can they catch them? Clippers, they've been a mess since the All-Star break. They've got the talent there, got to put it together. Dallas, Kyrie and Luka, 2 of your top players in the NBA. Can they coexist and can they win together? Great. Combined, they're scoring 80 points a game, but you got to post that W. You know what I mean? So we'll see. As far as falling out, I see that pretty much just the way it is. With Phoenix making a move, as I said, I've got them now the best team. And in the West, right now I'm looking at Phoenix and Denver, the top two teams. I think Memphis is going to fall. And I just think they're in bad shape. I don't know what the situation with Moran is. Like you said, he came out to say all the right things. Are they going to let him back? Does he walk the straight line and be a good boy? All right, so we got off the subject a little bit just to get our bet out. We're re-betting the Pacers. So hope you guys that how to beat the bookie members or followers, we initially bet Pacers plus 6.5. Info came out this morning. Halliburton, Miles Turner, both questionable. No edge if they were going to be out. We told you guys get off the game. The game was 7. So I said buy it down to 6.5. So we went for that extra juice to buy it down to 6.5. At that point, no bet. Just got the info. Halliburton and Turner will play. We rebet it plus 7. Hope you guys got that info. And hope when you see this tomorrow morning, you're like, way to go, John. We're on the Pacers. Getting back to the Western Conference, as we were talking, to me, like I said, it's Phoenix's. This is Phoenix's conference. Phoenix has, like we said, they were there 2 years ago against the Bucks. They were the best team in the NBA last year during the regular season. Got shocked by the Mavs in the playoffs.
Yep.
Now here they go. They get KD, most potent scoring 1-2 punch in the NBA, in my opinion. KD and Booker, they're poised to take it again. Denver's played great all year. If Murray and Porter hold up through the playoffs, they'll challenge. But I think Phoenix is the number 1. They won't be the number 1 seed. Denver's got a big lead. But they're the number 1 team to knock off. Memphis can't win on the road. I think this John Morant is going to be worth more than him missing a couple of games. I think there's a ripple effect through the team. Sacramento, love what they did this year. They're not a top team. They're in the 3rd seed right now. They may get knocked out by a lower seeded team depending on who they face off against. Right now, the 4-5 spot is Phoenix, Golden State. How's that for a first round? Because Golden State's right up there also. So as long as Golden State's healthy, you could say Phoenix and Golden State are the 2 top contenders to get out of the Western Conference. So one of those teams could possibly get knocked out in the first round if they meet as the 4 and the 5. Clippers, Dallas, a lot of talent. Both teams got to put it together. We'll see how they do. They should be the 7 and 8 seeds, knocking out the other 2 playing teams, whoever they might be. That's pretty much how I feel on that Western Conference.
Yeah, I don't know if Minnesota's going to hang in on that 6th spot. We'll see. Maybe they do. I feel like they drop off a little bit. I'm not sure who's going to take that spot. I mean, Dallas has a lot to figure out. Clippers with Russell Westbrook. Don't know how that point guard situation. I just do not like what they did point guard wise, getting rid of Reggie Jackson at the deadline. Maybe they'll be able to figure it out. Maybe they'll be competitive. We'll see. I agree with you that Phoenix is going to be up there as far as contentions and threats. I mean, the Suns, if you look at Kevin Durant and Chris Paul, they have similar championship windows. I mean, Kevin Durant, as far as being at this elite level, he is. And Chris Paul, just as far as being a competitive NBA point guard. Obviously, we've seen a little bit more regression the last couple of years, a little bit more so this year. Still one of the best playmakers and IQs in the NBA. And with the scores and talent around him, can still be competitive for a couple more seasons. But that window definitely similar to KD's level of being elite. I mean, the way KD has been after multiple serious injuries last couple of seasons has been very impressive. I don't know how much longer that'll be a situation. So definitely Phoenix going to be a threat there in the West.
Look, KD, since he's back, shooting 69% from the field.
Oh, ridiculous.
I mean, it's just he's opening up the floor more for Booker also. And like I said, he was out there for 40 minutes in Sunday's game against Dallas, putting to rest any issues about the lingering knee effect.
Oh, yeah. As far as short term, yeah, definitely. Kevin Durant looks as good as he ever has, and definitely a lot easier of a load. I mean, that we saw it with Golden State. I mean, it just looked absolutely flawless and easy basketball when he was playing with all that talent, and we're starting to see that with Phoenix a little bit. So going to be interesting to watch that in these coming weeks here down the stretch. Going back, though, and we talked about at the start here just about what we've been doing with DraftKings, taking advantage of those lines. I just wanted to kind of talk in a little bit more about that, kind of give members and people who aren't members just more of an understanding of what exactly it is we're doing as far as being able to get ahead of these lines. Because I know some people either A, don't really understand what like the value it is in itself as getting ahead of those points, having that edge, the closing line value. And then B, some people just, so many bettors just give me the winner, give me the winner, give me the winner, give me the winner. But there's a process to that and how we get to it. So, John, as far as your ratings and as far as obviously you need, the team's healthy to have a true number, take out the back-to-backs, as far as looking at these games 36 hours in advance, once you have your true number there, as far as with DraftKings line. So you're attacking these spots ahead of time with these injuries. We did it perfectly, or you did it perfectly with this Cavs game going into with Boston. I mean, there was no injury with the Celtics, but definitely a spot you could obviously see where there's an opportunity for Boston to rest players. Could you go into that a little bit more, just certain spots you look at as far as when teams could be resting with the look aheads and et cetera?
Look, this is a great time of year for that. We're at the tail end of the season. You did pose the question earlier about Mitchell. And at this point, if the smallest thing is wrong, you're going to sit your superstar because playoff time is right around the corner. That's when you want them healthy. So we can get a good estimate who's going to play or not. Once I see double overtime, and we know Tate and Brown are going to be up around that 50-minute on a back-to-back 3rd and 4. As again, like I said, already we know your two bigs are out. We're going to say, hey, here's a game that Boston might just say, hey, let's sit them. The edge is all we can give you guys. Celtics could come out and play the game of their life tonight. Mitchell re-injured the finger in the first couple of minutes, and Celtics win the game. We get the edge. This is what a real handicapper, meaning myself, will give you instead of the fakes. Like, again, what's his name?
King Cap.
King Cap. Bet half your bankroll on a game. Okay, I'm not going to tell you ever to bet half your bankroll on a game because anything is possible in any game. But when I tell you I love a game, that means I've got my bulls on the game. I've made a bigger bet. Now, that doesn't mean put half your bankroll. Put 5% of your bankroll. If your normal bet is 3%, you've got a $10,000 bankroll. You got a $1,000 bankroll. Let's make it smaller. Your bet is $30. Your bet can't be $100 if you got a $1,000 bankroll. It's 10% of your bankroll. You can't put 10% of your bankroll on a game. So I try to explain all the time. Guys, I want intelligent guys following me. I don't need suckers following me that think you're supposed to win 80% of your bets or they hit 90% of their mega. There's a guy now on Instagram. He wins 4-0 every day. There's Cody something. He sweeps parlays. He bet $1 million. He bet $1 million parlay What book took $1 million parlay? Come on, guys. Look.
Yeah, Cody covers. He's right up there with the best of the frauds. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. He had money at one point, rented some Lamborghinis. He took the pictures. He got chips at the Aria Casino, and he uses the same photos of the same money of the same chips he had 3-4 years ago. That's been his promo piece.
I think we did a video like that. Like I said, these guys, they rent the Lamborghini for the day, so they could give you the impression that they're beating the books for this money. I can guarantee you, just looking at his picks, they're not. Again, like I said, I watch all of these guys. They're nothing but favorite bettors. You don't get rich betting favorites laying the juice every day. We always make fun of the pick vault. I can't help it. When you bet 4 different teams in a parlay and you're still laying juice, do you need to pay the capper to give you 20-point favorites in a parlay and bet them on the money line? Again, guys, here's what I promise. And what I promise is what I deliver. When I give you a love bet, as we've given you 3 in the last 4 days, each one of those bets have moved at least 4 points. There's an edge. I see an edge on the game. Can the game lose? Of course it can still lose. But that's why I want intelligent guys. If you're a sucker that thinks guys are out there hitting 75% of their plays, go follow them. Don't follow me. Unsubscribe now. If you don't know how to lose, don't gamble. That's the first thing I can tell you. I'm breaking every rule that the cappers have. You're supposed to always give that image, never lose, never lose. No, I'm real. These other guys are fake. You have to lose. You have to know how to lose. We are only going to hit, as good as I am, and I'm the best, we're only going to hit 60% thereabouts over a course of the year. That means we're going to lose 40% of our games. And I will sign right now for that deal, because that means we're going to win a shitload of money winning 60%. If you believe anybody out there is hitting at a better rate, go follow them, go pay them. I don't know, what are they asking for? Hundreds a game. We charge $39 a week for the best sports betting info you're going to get anywhere. That's all I can say, Ben.
Yeah, it's all you really need to say. If you guys don't know, make sure you guys check out the website, howtobeatthebookie.com, or download the app. You can search it up at How to Beat the Bookie. You can go check out the membership pricing there, and you can sign up there as well. If you guys don't already, make sure you guys follow these accounts, subscribe, like this video. Just to kind of wrap things up a little bit here. We had a question the other day on one of the Instagram posts, John. I think it was Matt Peterson who posted it. But when he was seeing, it was one of the videos about this, about the beginning line. The question was, have you ever been limited or you ever been cut off at a book? I know at one of the early episodes we did, you were mentioning about how you had an account and you're offshore and, you were getting, the bets in overnight at, 3 times, I think you were saying, and that they were just moving the lines based off your action. But I didn't know if you had any more encounters you wanted to cover just based on that, about getting limited or getting cut off from books.
We call it betting with beards. Like a beard hides your face. Nope. So that's the name for it. So for years and years, I'm a known handicapper. So if I meet a regular guy in the street in New York, once they find out who I am, they're shutting my account down. So I need to use other guys. This is a wide known thing. If you guys look at this Dave Miller, the Vegas Ringers, he's actually advertising for guys that would accounts to come with him. A problem with Dave Miller is they're using the bots. Any kind of shop, sports book recognizes the bots. They don't let bots bet. He talks a lot about these fantastic middles that he's got access to, that 99.9% of the guys aren't going to have access to betting Pinnacle and betting another place simultaneously. So that's a whole different thing. But yeah, when you were in New York we're talking about years ago, about 30, 40 years ago, when you'd have the islands as an option, the offshore sports books, and you dealt with Joe on the corner and this guy here and the guys out in Vegas. Nobody wanted to deal with me. I crushed the NBA, been doing it forever. So we needed beards to bet. The few guys that would take action, that give me a shot on the overnights, they would limit me to $3,000. I moved the numbers on $3,000 back in the day on an NBA game.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned using beards. That's a big part of it for a lot of these sharp guys out there. As far as what you said before about, a guy like Cody Covers, who's taking $1 million parlay bets. If you guys don't know, that's the biggest tell sign of a square better. If anybody is showing any authentic tickets of these, big money bets, hundreds of thousands of dollars, no book is going to allow a sharp better to get down that much action. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So if you guys didn't know that, don't buy into the big dollar sign, the big tickets. That's a bigger red flag than any.
100%.
Other than that, John, we covered the slate here for tomorrow. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to go over.
No, I don't know what the voices got left. We're going to root some games in tonight. We absolutely buried the Cavs line 2.5. Looks like right now the game is 7.5. It's a 5-point edge. We're back on the Pacers +7. Again, guys, you want the best sports betting info? You get push notifications. You download our app. You get notifications literally as soon as we make a bet. You get the injuries. We're fine-tuning our injuries. They're second to none. As soon as guys in, out, you get that notification. Best sports betting info, like I said, $39 a week. I'll go put our service up against anybody's service out there. And we're worth $39 a game. We're worth double that a day. $39 a week. Put us up against anybody. See what they're charging. Guys are charging $40 a day. That I see on Instagram. Some of them are nice guys. They don't have a fucking clue. I mean, they really don't have a clue. They're charging $40 a day. Charge $39 a week. For that, you get not only our bets, which obviously you want when we're beating the number by 4 points a game. We give you a preview on every game, whether we bet the game or not. So if you're on the fence for the game, you read our preview, may tip you one way or the other. Then you get my exclusive home and away ratings. In NBA, this is how I make the line. This is no guesswork. You take the road team, you take the home team, you subtract the difference, and you get the base for the best numbers. These are my betting numbers. If we just take a random game for tonight, let's get a game that's not an injury game. I've got the Hawks rated 34.7 on the road. This is as of tonight, Monday night. Heat rated 36.0 at home. That's a 1.3 difference. That game right now is sitting at Heat 2. Give the Heat a little bit because they've kind of owned the series. They knocked the Hawks out of the playoffs 4-1 last year. They've beaten 2 of 3 this year. Again, the numbers, they're literally right there. Pelicans, 31.0 on the road. Sacramento Kings, 36.0 at home. It's a 5-point difference. Pelicans will be playing their third game of a 6-day road trip. Sacramento's been at home, give them a little bit of an edge. So let's call it 5.5, 6. What's the number right now? 5.5 for 6, depending on your book. This is what my numbers are about.
And that's what beating the numbers about, guys. That's what betting's about, is getting that edge. And obviously the how to beat the bookie service, big part of that. John's ratings, get access to the bets, get access to the game previews, the whole 9. Make sure you guys check that out. The website, the link is below. If you guys have any questions you guys want answered, any topics you guys want covered here on the podcast, go ahead and let us know. Put those below, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. We'll see them. We'll get to them. Other than that, John, hey, let's stay red hot. 63% since February 1st. Hopefully we can keep that rolling, and let's make some money.
Let's make some money.